Hello and welcome to Googly Mania, brought to you by Googly Goals. I am Asmita Banerjee, your host for the evening, and I have with me Mr. Ranabir Bhattacharyya, our football analyst. Now we will be discussing about today's match of Uruguay versus Russia and Saudi Arabia versus Egypt. Firstly, I would like to ask about the Uruguay and Russia match. Uruguay and Russia both are in 6 points by winning 2 matches each. The host team, Russia, have been playing phenomenally well and Uruguay was not up to the mark. So what do you think their match strategy will be like today?
It's absolutely right that both these teams are on 6 points, but as we know that whichever team will be topping this group itself will be having an easy opponent in the knockout round. So both these teams will have the motivation to give the best performance and win the match. And because for Uruguay's perspective, winning is the only option because they don't have that good goal difference what Russia has. In the inaugural match of this World Cup, we saw that Russia defeated Saudi Arabia by 5 goals. But when Uruguay played against Saudi Arabia, they could manage only 1 goal itself. And so presumably it's understood that Uruguay is not leading Russia as far as goal difference is concerned. That's why if Uruguay need to top this group altogether, they need to defeat Russia. That's the only thing. But I'm pretty happy seeing the hosts performing this well today. Probably after 1998, way back in 1998, I remember the hosts France won the World Cup. Much wasn't expected from Zinedine Zidane's team, but it was a really great performance from them where we saw the hosts coming up with superlative performance. This time around, even Russia is coming with such good performance, and I would say they're performing consistently well. And as far as the Uruguayan team is concerned, they have been pretty lackluster. Yes, they are the South American quality team itself, but somehow against the minnows also, because you don't consider Saudi Arabia or a country like Egypt to be that strong enough, and they should have performed much better, but we didn't see such. So it's not going to be very easy for Uruguay as far as defeating Russia in this match is concerned.
Well, both the South American team, Uruguay, and the host team have won both the matches. So who do you think will dominate the match with their, the ball possession or shots on target, etc.? Who will dominate?
Both these teams have got distinct styles of play. On one hand, Uruguay, a team from South America, you know that traditionally South American players rely more on passing, dribbling, what we basically term as eye-soaring performances. That's why we see that we have got so many fans and followers from Kolkata or India who love seeing the football of Brazil, Argentina, teams like that. But as far as European footballing style is concerned, it's contrasting and it's very different from what we see in traditional Latin American football. As far as Russia is concerned, they do follow the European style, and that's why this game between Uruguay and Russia is all about a closely contested competition between 2 distinct styles of play. But interestingly, before the start of the World Cup itself, much wasn't expected from the Russian team. So they have really amazed all of us with their good performances in the first 2 matches. Another thing I want to point out is that probably Uruguay hasn't played well as a team. They have got good individual players who are known worldwide, but somehow they are not being able to play well cohesively as a team. After all, football is a team game, and when you're playing in a big platform like World Cup itself, you need to gel well as a team and put up individual performances together, so that not only in case of goals, in case of defending also, you show good composure. That has been lacking in case of this Uruguayan team. In the very last match itself, Uruguay won against Saudi Arabia. But if you closely analyze the match highlights, you will see that Saudi Arabia played pretty well, and even in many of the moments of the match itself, Saudi Arabia really threatened to score. And that's one thing I think the Uruguayan coach Tavares is going to be pretty worried about that. After all, Saudi Arabia has been the lowest ranked team in this year's World Cup. So if you're not performing well against such minnows, how can your fans and supporters expect you to excel against the top 10 teams, the top 20 teams? So that is, I think, Uruguay needs to improve. And as far as top players are concerned, players like Edinson Cavani or Luis Suarez or Diego Godin, we haven't seen them playing up to the reputation. As far as Luis Suarez is concerned, we have been expecting him to play in the form, that superlative spirit which we see him playing for FC Barcelona, playing along with stars like Busquets, Lionel Messi, Iniesta and other players. But we haven't seen such performances from Luis Suarez. Yes, in the very last match he scored a goal, but in the first match itself, I remember, he missed so many sitters, open sitters what you call.
That's true.
And he could have scored a hat-trick also in the very first game against Egypt. So that's what I think the Uruguay team has been underperforming to some extent. And that's what I think the Russians are not going to miss out. After all, when the hosts are playing, you don't actually play for a draw. And even when you're going through the World Cup itself, you try to keep on the momentum of the World Cup. So in all probability, don't expect that the Russians will be playing for a draw. Rather, they will be probably having some bench players or the reserve players who haven't played in the first two matches. So I guess you can see some young Russian players who were not there in the first two matches against Egypt and Saudi Arabia can make in the team today against Uruguay.
So here we'll take a short break. We'll be right back after the break.
जिक्र जब भी जीएसटी की होती है तो नजरें ढूंढती हैं जीएसटी दोस्त विकास धनानिया को।
नमस्कार विकास जी, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आने के लिए।
विकास धनानिया बात करते हैं पूरी जिम्मेदारी के साथ
कि यहाँ पर गुड्स को रिसीव्ड नहीं किया गया है। हाँ, लेकिन तब आपको ये प्रूफ करना पड़ेगा कि भाई हमने तो हैंड रिक्शा से मंगा लिया है।
आम आदमी जीएसटी को जानना चाहता है, लिहाजा सवालों का अंबार है। इन्हीं सवालों को समेटते हैं हमारे होस्ट राकेश। हर ट्यूसडे और फ्राइडे रात 8 बजे होस्ट राकेश और दोस्त विकास धनानिया हो जाते हैं आमने सामने, सिर्फ आपके लिए जियो बांग्ला पर। देखिए जीएसटी की बात दोस्त के साथ जियो बांग्ला पर।
Welcome back to Googly Goals, brought to you by Googly Mania. So we'll be back with our questions. So what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses of these two teams, like Uruguay and Russia, the host team? What are the strengths?
As far as team composition is concerned, on paper, the Uruguay team looks much better. As far as the forward line is concerned, they have got players of the caliber of Luis Suarez and Edinson Cavani. I've already told you about Luis Suarez, how he can have that sort of impact. Even he was considered as one of the players who can go for the Golden Boot, the coveted award given to players who score a maximum number of goals in the World Cup itself. As far as Edinson Cavani is concerned, he has also been one of those players, rather overhyped one, who plays for PSG, and we have been reading about him in the newspapers or in TV channels or in tweets itself regarding his relationship with someone like Neymar as far as taking free kicks and other on-field face concern. But to some extent, even Cavani didn't look to be in that good form. But I guess Diego Godin's role, who plays in the defense for the Uruguay's team, is going to be very important, because definitely we are going to see counter-attacking play from the Russians, and in that case the defense of Uruguay is going to be interesting. And their goalkeeper Fernando Muslera seems to be in good form, and I won't be surprised if he comes up with 2-3 good saves today. And in the defense and in the midfield, Rodrigo Bentanor, Giorgino Alacosta, Luis Torreiro and Carlos Sanchez. These players, although they don't play in the top clubs, but still I have seen them performing well regularly in tier 2 clubs of Europe itself. So you can expect that sort of average performance from them. But truly, they need to perform much better if they wish to stop the Russian players like Golovin. As far as Russia is concerned, their goalkeeper Igor Akinfeev is one of the supreme goalkeepers. He's a fantastic one, and I won't be surprised that if after this World Cup he gets a pretty good purchase going into one of the top clubs of Europe. In the forward, they will definitely depend on Cheryshev and Ardem Jajuba. Juba has been playing pretty well, and we have seen Cheryshev, how the way he has been advancing into the final third itself, getting the balls for the midfield, and even playing with 4-4-2 combination, he has been doing it well along with his fellow forward player. So that is something has been pretty pivotal for creating goal scoring chances for Russia. And let's not forget the case of Alexander Golovin. I still can't forget the free kick through which he scored against Saudi Arabia. It was not only a good, well taken one, but it looked like he has got that style of play which we're acquainted seeing from the top players of Europe. And then in the defense, Fernandes and Grotova, Kutifov, and all these players, yes, we are not acquainted with the names, but I guess if Russia advances into the semi-finals or quarter-finals in this year's World Cup, these names will definitely become household names even outside Russia. So the team combination as far as the two teams are concerned, I think there won't be many changes. But as far as those players who are having one yellow cards, probably the coaches may rest them, because you know, if they're seeing another yellow card, they'll be missing the matches against in the knockout round. So both the teams, both the coaches will be wary of that, and definitely if there are any injuries as of such, you won't be seeing the player. For example, Jimenez, who plays for Uruguay and scored the winner in the very first match for Uruguay, won't be playing today because he has a slight niggle. Probably will be seeing him in the round of 16 when he will be leading the defense of the Uruguayan team. So altogether it can be said that chances that Russia may be opting more attacking display, because they have seen that against the small teams they have been pretty successful. And there are some advantages also. Physicality has been one of those things which is absolutely making an impact for Russia, because they have got good players, skillful players. And another aspect is that they keep on running. They're pretty fit. So this era of Russian players basically reminds me of Gus Hiddink's time, when they failed to go to the knockout round, but with their lively display they showed what Russia can do in football also. So both the teams are pretty competitive, and I expect both the teams to give the 100% as well, because we know that whichever team is going to win today will be going as top of the table in Group A. But for Russia altogether, a draw will be enough.
So who would you name to be the key players for this match?
From Russia's perspective, Golovin and Cheryshev, these two players are going to be very important. As far as goal scoring chances are concerned, Golovin, a pretty young player, he will be definitely playing the role of a playmaker in Russian squad today, and Cheryshev will be the one I'll be looking for goals today. And on the other hand, as far as the Uruguayan team is concerned, we'll be expecting Luis Suarez on the scoring sheet along with players like Edinson Cavani. And Suarez is due with goals right now, and he definitely eyes the score sheet, because after all he is also one of the contenders for the Golden Boot. So it wouldn't be a surprise if we see Luis Suarez scoring a brace today against the hosts Russia.
So what do you think is the probable score line today?
Well, going into the pattern of play and the performances of the top players itself and the strategies opted by respective coaches, I think this is going to be something like 2-1 for Russia. Now you may say, why I'm opting for a team like Russia against Latin American team Uruguay, is that as far as the current form is concerned, the Russian team looks pretty young, and although they don't have experience, they have to have the stamina, perseverance to dug deep in this year's World Cup. So a Russian win definitely doesn't look improbable.
So now we will come back to the Saudi Arabia versus Egypt match. So both of them have been out of the tournament by now. So they will be playing for the pride of their country now. So what do you think will be the match lineup and match strategy today for them, for both?
It's absolutely right that both these teams, they do not have a chance to go to the knockout round. But you know that when you play in a big tournament like World Cup itself, it's much more than that. Every year we see there are so many countries who play in the World Cup itself. They know that they don't have that much of acumen to go to the next round, but this is the opportunity to showcase their talent itself, and not only their style of play, but also that they can make their mark itself. I have seen in previous World Cups where young players, in spite of not getting enough minutes in the field itself, scoring and dribbling, they get in touch with the scouts, European top scouts of the European clubs. By scouts we mean every European team. I'm talking about European clubs because they are the ones who look pretty good on field, and they have got their scouts in this World Cup. So if they're playing well, automatically they can have it can be a gateway for playing in academy clubs or top clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, or in EPL clubs like Manchester United, Man City, Chelsea, Tottenham Hotspur, or Bundesliga clubs like Bayern Munich and others. So this is something, I guess, because another aspect, if you see both these teams, Egypt and Saudi Arabia, the domestic league for both the two countries aren't that good. So
That's right.
the players are well aware that if they can play well today, it would definitely be enough to put their careers forward. And for Egypt, I think the players are well aware what their captain Mohamed Salah has done. So 5 years back, Salah, when he used to play for Chelsea, he wasn't a no man. He wasn't a player who could exploit spaces or score goals. But after he got loaned to Roma and played for Roma, and then he got back to Liverpool, he has become a legend altogether. And there you can see, this time around I was seeing many of my friends and fans of Egypt being saying that yes, for the dismal performance of Egypt, Salah is responsible, but that is wrong. First and foremost, he was not at all fully fit, and after all, football is a team game, and it was way too evident that other Egyptian players are not of the quality of Salah.
Yeah, so both the teams are now in 0 point after 2 matches for both. So the goal difference for Saudi Arabia is -6 and for Egypt it's -4. So what do you think, who will make their country more proud?
This you have mentioned a pretty important aspect, the goal scoring aspect, the score sheet. Saudi Arabia has been playing World Cup for so many countries, but problem is that they have never been able to go in the knockout round. And one of the main reasons is that their forward players are not being able to score goals. This is a vital aspect. Even in the last match, just before I mentioned that, in the match against Uruguay, we saw Saudi Arabia playing pretty well. But in the attacking third itself, they were pretty unsuccessful. Or in other words, the forwards who are playing for Saudi Arabia, they don't have that such goal scoring instinct. That is something somewhere I guess the Saudi Arabian coach must be telling his players to concentrate. And from other aspect of Egypt, they have been playing in the World Cup after more than 2 decades. So that's a pretty emotional thing. Yes, I know that before the World Cup began, many of the fans of Egypt, they were saying that they will be sailing into the knockout round itself, but it was more sort of an emotional stretch rather than from a realistic viewpoint. And truly, barring Mohamed Salah, the current Egypt output doesn't deserve to go in the knockout round. But still, they're well aware that it's high time that they can get back in the good books of the coaches of the top clubs. If they can perform well, they'll definitely go into that. And they have got motivation as well. When you see a top player along with you, you know how to make your level of game much more a level higher. That is something the Egyptian players will be motivated as far as this match is concerned, rather their last match of this tournament.
So what are the strengths and weaknesses do you think does have Saudi Arabia and Egypt?
The Egypt team, I guess, on paper looks pretty good, but we are going to see someone like Sam Al-Hadri, who is old, 45 years. He probably is going to come as goalkeeper, and if he at all plays today, he will be the oldest player as goalkeeper to play in World Cup. As far as the other player defenders are concerned, in case of Saudi Arabia, probably they are going to miss 3 of the top defenders, namely Ali Al-Bulahi, Omar Hassai, and Mansour Al-Harbi. These 3 defenders, they have carrying injuries, and I'm not really sure whether the Saudi Arabian management are going to push these players and aggravate their injuries. And another aspect, I think, as far as forward line for Egypt, for Saudi Arabia is concerned, they're somehow going to depend on Asiri for the goals. And in the midfield, they have average players like Al-Faraz Otaif, Al-Maghani, and Al-Dasari. These players, we saw that in the last match against Uruguay itself, they played well. Now you may say that in the very first match itself, this same Saudi Arabian team conceded 5 goals. It happens, because when you're playing the first match of the World Cup itself, and that was the inaugural match also, stamina, perseverance, these things do play important, and most of these players are playing the World Cup for the first time, and the domestic league quality of these Saudi Arabian team, Saudi Arabia, isn't that high. So definitely there is huge gap to be bridged. So probably that's why the youngsters playing for the Saudi Arabian team were not being able to put up good performances. But they really compensated well against the next match in Uruguay. So today I think they're well acquainted, staying after a week in Russia itself. They have played 2 games. They must be playing well, at least a departing good game. And if they can win this game against Egypt, it would definitely be a proud one for the Saudi Arabians.
So who do you think will be the key players for the match?
Obviously, when you have someone like Mohamed Salah in this match itself, we'll be looking into him. He has scored 44 goals. That's a record altogether for Liverpool all throughout this season. Yes, his World Cup journey could have been very different. We remember in the Champions League final when he was representing Liverpool and he was playing against Real Madrid. Sergio Ramos, who is also playing in this World Cup as the Spain captain itself, he injured him and he got a shoulder injury, and there were questions whether Mohamed Salah could at all participate in the World Cup or not. But thankfully it didn't happen and Salah participated. But still he is not 100% fit. He's something around 80% fit, and it's pretty prominent that we didn't see him playing in the very first game, and in the second game we saw him play. He even scored a goal with a penalty itself. But that sort of thrust and penetrative zone he gets to, we didn't see from Salah. Probably that's one of the main reasons is his fitness. Because in this game itself, where you need to be at the top of your game, if you're not fit, you will never be able to give your best performance. That's one of the main reasons why. And there was also another controversy regarding the photo with the Chechen leader itself, and that's why. And there are rumors as if whether this is going to be Salah's last game or not for Egypt. There have been controversy with that, whether Salah is with the retirement or not. Although the Egyptian Association, their country, they have given a statement that Mohamed Salah is not going to retire after this match against Saudi Arabia. But still, this thing has been getting inside, and there are rumors that Salah may come up with any sort of announcement. So that's been one of the worrying things inside the thing. And for Saudi Arabia, I guess Assyria needs to score, because as you pointed out earlier, the scoring pattern of Saudi Arabia isn't something motivating. And if they do wish to end the World Cup journey with a happy note, they need to score. So goal scoring is one angle I think the Saudi Arabian coach will be pointing out to their players.
Thank you, Ranabir, for being with us. You can tell us what the score prediction will be on the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.